Today I'm going to give you a video of my hands and show you how to put together a shadow box card. It's sort of a neat card because it can mail flat and it has a hole cut out to make room for a tea light. So we're going to make one a little smaller than this. If you came to my virtual retreat last week, we made it, but the video I took of the retreat was very lengthy. Oops. So I'm just going to quickly make this card over again in the size that you received in the mail. There's a couple things I've done ahead of time. I've folded my papers on the score line, and the wise men get a mountain fold, and the shepherds get a valley fold. I'll see why in a little bit. This was a picture of the finished project. And I'm going to be using, you can use any kind of liquid glue. Aleene's tacky glue works. My new favorite glue is Berry Art, and I like it because it has a very fine tip. It doesn't get clogged very easily. And you'll notice in your packets you have two levels of some things. Actually, you have three shepherds because my first shepherds were too big, so you can discard those and use it for something else. I'm going to start by adding a little bit of thickness, and I'm going to glue them. You can glue them either on top or on the bottom, and the big one I did it on top, so I'm going to try doing it on the bottom. So I'm going to add glue to the backs of my images, just a little bit. And then place the extra one right on top. Hold it for a second to adhere it. And that way the shepherds will not get bent. Now, this one, I am going to, this is a little bit smaller, so I'm going to add my glue to the back of the manger scene on the rounded edge one. You don't want too much, but you want enough to adhere. You don't want the paper to pucker. And you can spread it a little bit if you want. And just line up with the one underneath, keeping the bottoms even. There. Now my Mary and Joseph are a little thicker. And last but not least, we have our shepherds. Again, I'm going to turn not shepherds, I'm sorry, the wise men. I'm going to turn my wise men over, put a few dots here. And place the other ones behind. Now the original pattern was purchased through SVG 3D. I think it's called Dreaming Tree. And they had the bigger version, and I made it a little bit smaller, so you can get all of the pattern pieces out of one piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. Okay, so this is the front of the box and the back of the box, and I am going to line them up side by side. And I'm going to put a little glue on the edge, rub it on with my finger, and then if we keep it even, can just adhere them. Now, this is the time you're going to add the back of the card. I wanted to do it after I put the box, part of the box together, because this I want to actually go over the seam. And you'll notice if you center it carefully, there's a little bit of white showing around the background of your card. Again, just put a little bit of glue on the background. Any little blobs, make them narrow so you won't have any puckering. And add that. It is much easier to glue flat than to glue afterwards. So for that reason, turn your card over. We're still not putting the box together. And we are going to add our panels. You have one panel here, a little one here. We have 1, 2, 3 panels, and then the front panel. And the front one, the lines up right perfect with the circle and then leaves an edge around it. Now, the pattern I sent you has 2 sides. So if you want to make a green Christmas box, you could flip them over. I am going to have gray, the gray Christmas trees. So I'm just going to glue on, whoop, wrong glue. I am going to glue on the greens. Get the corners. And then lose a little edge. I'm sure you could adhere this another way, but since it's a 3D project, I find the liquid glue holds up well to the environment of moisture and humidity in the house because it's standing upright. Okay. There's my back. Other side. You usually start with the front. Now, if you want, there's better instructions on this on Dreaming Tree, and he shows a special light that he uses that changes color that fits through that hole, and it has a little remote, and you can make different images. And I chose just to, since I'm making one for each of my children, I decided to go with just a basic tea light, and but you can use any kind of LED tea light. But I'll put the link below this video so you can see the cool lights that Leo used at Dreaming Tree. Now remember, the circles are the same size, so if you line up your circle, everything else will line up right. If you don't put too much glue on, let's see. It's sticking so quickly. I want to get it perfect. And it does, if you line up the circle, everything else goes on very easily. So now I have my panels, and remember I said that the card folds flat. So you want to make sure the seams are movable so it'll be trained flat. Now this time, I'm actually going to glue it flat. just going to fold this over. And it should fit just right. So even though it's a box card, you can glue it flat. Makes it nice and easy. Okay. Now I cut out a star from the center, and after I put the insides in, I'm going to add a little shiny gold star. You can decide what you want up top, what color. I'm matching the back, and I'm not going to put my second layer on yet because I haven't decided what I'm stamping on this. But I will attach my green or aqua, whatever the background sky is there. The other way. There. A little bit of gray showing around it. There we go. Now you could put white, you could put red, you could stamp right on the green. It's your pleasure. Now we have 3 more main pieces. And now that I think of it, I think Leo might have glued this on before he started, but it doesn't matter. All I want glued is on the edges. And the bottom lines up perfectly, so I'll put a little glue on the bottom there too. Sliding it in. Once I get the bottom even, just lift it up and hold it. It might be easier to flatten it again and make sure those are secure. It doesn't take long for liquid glue to catch. You do want both sides to catch. So there's the nativity scene. And I'm going to do the back piece first for the insides. Again, fold it on the score lines. You can use a bone folder or what's the other? Like a scraper for your Cricut, anything like that to adhere it if you want. So let's see, this is going to be slide in like this, so it's the outside of those that need glue on it. This one goes first because you want that hole cut out. And I'm just going to slide it in, and again, it lines up with the bottom. Don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to lay it flat, and it should glue just in the right place. Let me check. Sure enough, that's the way to do it. And hold that down a little bit. So when you lift it up, very nice. The camels are elevated. Now this is the opposite. That was a mountain fold. This is a valley fold. But same as before, we're going to put adhesive glue on the outside edges that will touch. And again, quite easy. The lineup is the bottom of the box. So I'm sliding it in, valley fold, so it'll touch the top of the box this time. And you can hold it with your fingers, and we can fold it again. I think I got it in the right place. We'll try folding it. A little bit of dry glue on my hands. I I think Leo put it in and had a dowel. My dowel is hiding. So I'll use my little bone folder to make sure that's all secure on the edge. Very good. Let's see. I think I will put a needle in my glue because I'm going to use a foam tape for my star. Let's see. Well, this is what I was talking about before. You can use this if you don't have a bone folder. I'm just going to use a little bit of fluffy here, or puffy tape. Just double-sided adhesive for my star. And it's probably easier to enter this from the top. Just center it on your white, and it will pop out a little bit. And in your kits, I also included, sticky ends here, a ribbon, so that if you wanted to tie a bow or have a bow hang, you can add a little splash of red to make it look more Christmassy. This one about the same size. Angle it. And since I'm not sure what I'm stamping yet for my title, so I'm not going to adhere that right away. Now on my original box, I had a longer ribbon and I used a circle with memories, but that stamp is too big for the center. So I'm not sure what I'll be putting. But here we go. Here's our box, and it can fold flat. It should fold flat either way. I did train it one side, so that's a little bit better, but you can make it fold very flat both ways. Now with this pattern, it also comes with an envelope if you want to make it mailable, and you would just have to use a little bit of extra postage. So that's my finished project. Here's the original size and the adapted size. And the light will go right underneath, and I didn't bring my tea lights in. So that's my project for today. Have fun making your box card.